To describe how the Reign of Terror caused anarchy and chaos for France. Explain the Committee of Public Safety's role during the Reign of Terror. There you go. There you go. So think about one of the key figures that we talked about yesterday, Robespierre, right? And how he led this cause. Why? You guys need another minute? Okay, all right, so let's get to it. So we talked about the third estate, right? The National Assembly, their goal is to try to create a constitution after Louis the 16th. And the first and second estate signed together, which outvoted the third estate. Eventually, things got out of hand, right? To the point where the third estate said, well, we're going to break off, form our own constitution, our own form of government, right? So with that, okay, we talked about the tennis court oath, right? How they weren't going to leave Louis XVI's tennis court until they had a constitution written and ready to go. Then we also talked about Bastille Day, right? What is Bastille Day? Real quick, Bastille Day. We talked about this yesterday with the review. Connor, go ahead.
It's pretty much like France.
Yeah, good job. Right. So it's their Independence Day. Good. And that's where the people of the third estate, right? Some of these lower class, middle class people of France, through a lot of hardships of just putting food on the table. Many of them dying of famine and malnutrition. And they stormed the Bastille, which is a sign, a symbol of the tearing down the old system, the absolute monarchy, right? All right. So after that, we talked about the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizens. Okay, how that was viewed as our Declaration of Independence, right? Like it, okay, but with France. And then we talked about the Jacobins' rise to power, okay, and how they wanted to try to eliminate the monarchy altogether. They didn't even want a constitutional monarchy, right? They wanted to have a government that was more representative of the people, okay, that they have elected officials, okay, choosing the right path for the country. Okay, then we mentioned about Robespierre. So real quick, what do we have here with this bell ringer, our response? So Robespierre is leading this cause of trying to change and transition France to more of a representative government and representative body. So how's he doing so? How's he doing so? What's he doing, Parker? Yeah. Yeah, even if they're not even enthusiastic about it, right? So if they're not enthusiastic at all really about this French Revolution, about this cause, then chances are their heads are getting lopped off. Okay, so he pushed for this reign of terror, utilizing fear tactics, in many cases censorship of the people when they're walking on the streets, gathering in bread lines, and even what type of materials that they could read. They are all censoring this. And if anything, is that a form of democracy? Is that giving people rights and freedoms? No, not really. So as you can see with Robespierre, he kind of pushed it to the extreme, to a point where he's going to utilize fear tactics to try to achieve this revolution. Okay, and he becomes a very prominent figure during this revolution, to the point where the guillotine, like we just talked about, was the symbol of the French Revolution. So how many people died during this time under the reign of terror and the workings of Robespierre and the Committee of Public Safety? But Austin, yeah, about 20,000 people, right? So again, it almost became somewhat of a witch hunt. It was a mass hysteria. So if you didn't like someone, say, well, I hear you looked at me the wrong way, I could have made up a false claim saying that he wanted to try to bring back a absolute monarchy. And he thinks that this revolution just should stop right in its tracks. Well, he grabbed Wyatt, take him into the town square, and then they would chop his head off right there. Oh,
Chair's cold. That's what you're worried about.
yeah. Anyway, seriously, geez. So anyway, it's like flopped off, and everybody's cheering. The crowd's going wild. But you think after a while, this would just spread even more paranoia, even more chaos. All right. So again, the Committee of Public Safety. This is this organization under the Jacobins that pushed for this reign of terror, this mass death, this mass hysteria, and trying to bring on the revolution through fear tactics. All right. So what about the warfare at the time? What's going on? Who's going to war against France during this revolution? Connor, go ahead.
Mostly Russia.
Yeah, good job. So mostly Austria and Prussia. So why? Why do they want to declare war in France? What's the reason for that? This is important to know before we get to the whole lead here. Paul, go ahead.
Like they're
Yeah, good job, right? So if you're Frederick the Great of Prussia, you see what's going on in France, and you know what happened to Louis XVI, and he's realizing, hey, you know what? If this revolution spreads to the doorstep of Austria, of Prussia here, obviously with Frederick the Great, then chances are his head could be locked up, right? This could just bring on anarchy, chaos, right? Through this regime change and this revolution travel. So yeah, they see this as an opportunity as well, right? They see this as an opportunity to weaken France. France is still the largest military power in Europe at this time. Okay, when it comes to their land army, right? Great Britain still controls the seas, but if anything, you can see this as an opportunity for these countries of Europe to permanently weaken France as they're going through a lot of internal hardships. All right, so one thing to note here with the Reign of Terror, what else did they change? What else did they alter? What else did they attack? And this is going to continue on as we get to the point here. Paul, is that your hand up? What? Oh, okay. All right, Paul, go ahead.
Oh, they changed the churches, they demolished them.
Yeah. Yeah, good job. So they try to really take out the churches. They tried to really target them. Okay, in many cases looted them, took them for whatever valuables they had. They also changed the calendar, right, to try to stray away from this old system. You got to remember with the Pope, with the Catholic Church, they had full control really during medieval times, moving up even during this time of France's power up into the French Revolution. So it just goes to show with this old system, the only way to try to eliminate it is by taking away every aspect that contributed to its power. So the Catholic Church, religion was being targeted. So if you're Austria, if you're Prussia, you have a strong tie to the Catholic Church, right? So here's another reason why they went to war with France. They see this as a breaking down of a strong system, a strong structure in the people's lives that provide good moral values, good ethics. And again, with this belief, just can't totally take it away. So again, with Austria and Prussia, they see this as a threat as well, just by stripping away the religion. So the calendar was changed, like I mentioned, in the video stated today. And that's one thing to note about the Reign of Terror. Napoleon's going to continue this revolutionary ideas, but he'll also bring back the system of religion because it does provide a good structure, a good system to France. All right. Okay. Is there any questions? Is there any questions? All right. Okay. So, well, look at that. You have a little bit more than 5 minutes, huh? So here's your assignment about the Reign of Terror. There's only 5 questions. That's it. Only 5 questions. So here's where to find it. What did you say, Jason?
They want this one, they do get
All right, guys. So here is the assignment, the Reign of Terror. This is what it looks like. Just published it. Have it done for the start of class tomorrow, please. All right, so quick reading. Again, it's not too long. And then here are the questions. As you can see, the last question, well, that looks a lot like our bell ringer. So I added that one in there. I thought it was important to mention as we're moving transition into Napoleon. Oh, last thing, guys, I forgot to mention with the bell ringer. So the government changed then, right? The government changed after this Reign of Terror. What was it called? It was one of your terms, last term actually on the vocab from yesterday. Connor, go ahead. The Directory. Yep, good job. And what type of government really was this? Chris, go ahead. Yeah, it's an oligarchy. Real quick, what's an oligarchy, Chris? Yeah, good job, right? So you have a group of maybe 5, I don't know, a little bit more maybe members making decisions for the government. Okay. A lot of times these people are from a higher status, a higher class, economic, social, you name it. And we all know this is not really much of a representative democracy either. So it just kind of goes to show where this revolution is kind of faltering and how it took quite a bit of time for this actually to see its way through. And we'll mention with Napoleon, well, it doesn't look like much of a democracy there either. But there's some discussion anyway about that. All right, so please work on the assignment. Have this finished up for tomorrow.